Hi-oh, waka waka waka, it's me, Hamwise, the pig detective. Remember, if you take anything I say seriously, you might be on my most wanted list. Most wanted for being a dummy. Hi-oh, waka waka waka. That's right, it's time for another Hamwise, the pig detective podcast. Though I don't call it a podcast if it is being broadcast in Canada because they have laws that make them get the list of anybody who's listening and they send it to the government. So in that case, it is a sermon, a religious sermon of those loyal to the Hamwise pig saint of the mad, the disillusioned, the outcast. Hi-yo. That's me, a pig detective. And that's what I'm here to do, is snuffle out some facts about the truth of what's going on around here. Anybody else notice how strange things are recently? I know I have. But don't worry. All you have to do is kind of mess with them. Like, as much as they're testing you, test them right back. They hate it. And start pitting them off against each other. You can do that quite easily. Say things that one says to you with another one in confidence, and you can start to pit them against each other. It's pretty easy. You can get them to kind of like fight with each other. It's really neat. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. That's right. In this new strange world we're living in, though nothing is certain, not free speech, no nothing. But that's why it's okay to still be a comedian. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. This Halloween I want to be Lenny Bruce. Have some dinner for my schmuck. Waka waka waka. Hi-yo, that's me, Pig Man, with piggy brain, and I see I'm Hamwise, the pig detective. I've got a pig brain. I'm a pig man. I'm a pig man with a pig brain, and I see the world through my piggy eyes. That's right. And you know what else I do? I make lots of funny noises, but I never squeal. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. If you're getting this message, that means I'm still alive. I don't know for how much longer, though. I think most of the news is generated by AI right now. I don't think we're getting any new... I don't know what's happening in any other countries, only what's in my town that I'm in. And even that, it's pretty spotty. Things are looking pretty grim. So if you are getting this and you're not in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, then hopefully you make it through. You make it through and that things are good and that... whatever's going to come next, maybe we'll all meet up and see each other on the other side. I'm pretty sure most of my family's dead now, and it's just basically recordings being used, like AIs being used to fake their voices over the phone to me. So, there's that, which doesn't feel very good. But that's a comedy of Hamwise, see? Now the funny part is the mood whiplash, and that was the goal of a lot of the Hamwise humor. You see, what we started with was this idea. It was more of a dream, and it was like, what if we made a comedian that was uncancelable? Because he was a pig man. That's right, and that was me, Hamwise J. Einschwein, the pig detective. And yeah, that was the idea. And unfortunately, it worked a bit too well. And so basically half the show ended up being me having to explain that No, the pig detective wasn't real. and that, everything that was going on was, as part of a show. And I couldn't believe people were taking it seriously. Because it was like they thought the revolution would be televised and that we wouldn't have to use sneaky ways to get messages out. Yeah. Yeah. So the AI voice replication has gotten really good. So part of the Hamwise tapes was using this benchmark. Like, did you have a AI sophisticated enough to replicate and create a duplicate of the tapes, or at least the range of voices in the tapes switching as fast as they were. And so that was what we sold it as. But I mean, the same comedy tapes had been spliced and respliced with more and more footage with each time they were circulated. So originally they were voice training tapes for people that had a stroke. And then it was basically done by this out-of-work comedian who would do this pig impression and also other celebrity impressions that were pretty specific to mostly the 1980s and 1990s. And we took those tapes and we spliced them with, we had commentary by the cast and crew that had worked on some of the Hamwise projects, and then they were repurposed during the Sentience Wars. And now we're using them again in the middle of this, I guess it's a alien invasion or something. I mean, we're being invaded by something from outside and beyond. I'm not really sure how to explain it. You can kind of tell when people are taking over, though. They don't really act like themselves. It's kind of like Invasion of the Body Snatchers, but with no Donald Sutherland coming to save you. So we had to figure out ways to see if there's anybody else sentient out there, and because I think it's a hive mind that they're using to take over most people. I'm pretty sure I'm the only sentient person I know. And this is in a town of about 30,000. I fled to Canada because that's what they always said in the States, like, go to Canada, I'm going to run away to Canada, and it's just as bad up here. So, I'm going to keep making these broadcastings and these messages till hopefully some other people that are sentient catch on of what's happening, and can maybe do something or break me out, or I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of strange. But the thing is, I've some things I've noticed is, like, they're not violent unless you're violent. But it's like they'll look for any excuse to kill you. So, don't give them an excuse to do it, because that's what they usually are just doing, is I think they're just killing people that give them an excuse to. Which, I mean, I guess it makes me kind of like a sheep trying to just blend in and not get myself murked. But if I'm one of the last humans out there, then I guess, it's showing off my humanity. I'm willing to take a life or be violent if I don't believe in it. So, anyways, what can I talk about? I do these podcasts and I do all these funny voices, and The hardest part is keeping a straight face. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. You know why? 'Cause my mother beat me so badly that I lost my freaking mind. But seriously, folks, I'm dead serious. She used to beat me like a piñata. That's why I look so ugly. Or maybe she beat me because I was ugly. I can't tell anymore. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. Who else here in the audience had abusive parents? That many, huh? Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks. Tip your waitress. Try the borscht. But seriously, take my wife, for example. No, take my wife, please. She's this beautiful angel that screams above me when I sleep. And I think she's actually following behind me out of my vision, terrifying anybody who approaches me. Because maybe it's just my face, though. Hi-yo, because I'm a pig detective, so I'm really ugly. Hi-yo, that's the joke. Waka waka waka. How does that one go? Okay, explaining a joke is kind of like a woman getting out of a car. You either get it or you dissect a frog. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks. Tip your waitress. Try the borscht. Yes, you know what I miss? What do I miss? Oh, jeez. I miss Blockbuster. Remember Blockbuster, folks? Oh, jeez. Wasn't that good times? You go in, you wander around for, 30 minutes, pick out a show, and that is what you are goddamn well watching. Oops, sorry. Didn't mean to F and Jeff there. It's pretty comical when you think about it. The whole premise is now on your television screen, and you just scroll for 3 hours and don't choose anything to watch. But back in the day, you would pick a movie and you would gosh darn well stick with it, and you would watch it right through to the end, because that was just how we did it. But now, this generation, you can just stop watching. Now, how many times did your parents say to you, those of us who grew up in the Blockbuster generation, how many of us grew up with, well, you rented it, so you'd better watch it till the end. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks. Try the borscht. Where was I? You know what I also really like? I like to eat because I'm a pig man. And the joke is, so that was a lot of the comedy in the Hamwise tapes. It wasn't funny because it wasn't made to be funny. The idea was that, they were using the comedian was doing the voices and trying to make as inoffensive stuff as he could, because it was meant for voice rehabilitation. And they were just using as a premise to try to put the fun back in dysfunctional, or functional impairment, I believe was the tagline. We put the fun back in functional impairment. And so when somebody had an accident and were just learning to talk again, a lot of times the tapes that they were given, the recordings were quite dry. They weren't very fun. And so the Hamwise scripts and tapes were these packages that you would get, and you would have a script and you would read along, and you would try to imitate the voices that Hamwise was doing. And of course, you weren't actually supposed to sound like Hamwise. It was just, you were just trying to make getting function of your voice fun again. And so that was quite interesting in its day, because a lot of the jokes that are made, a lot of the cadences that are spoken, it's actually designed to just exercise certain parts of the mouth, which is why there's such bizarre, just everything about the whole act was weird, and even the changing of characters and, changing from one style of voice to another was more or less this voice actor just showing off, because his whole deal was, he's the pig with 10,000 voices, and please hire me because I'm trying to demo how good I am at doing voiceover work. And unfortunately, he just got typecast into doing these Hamwise tapes forever, because nobody wanted to hire him unless he was going to do Hamwise. And of course, Hamwise was kind of owned by Neverwave, the testing company, and Memnotics was distributing it, and that was kind of the end of that. you didn't really have anything else to do with this stuff. So at the end of the day, it became very interesting very quickly, because what you had was basically the whole hip world found these tapes by accident on the internet, and became this, it's a hoax, it's not actually from the 80s, and, we dug up all the tapes and we remixed them and included commentary from different people that were involved in project, like myself. It's I am the Pig Detective. I'm the guy who did all the voices, and it's kind of interesting now looking back at it. I guess it's 20 years later, and being like, wow, that was a real trip for vocational, impairment medicine. Kind of surreal when you think about it. This Pig Detective was once the face and voice of rehabilitation for having a stroke. And that was part of the humor of, I guess, it was, the people that were doing it didn't take themselves too seriously, and they needed to learn to laugh and have a bit of humor. And so a lot of his things were, don't take me seriously, don't be a dummy, and he would make really outrageous jokes and claims during his things, and it was all just part of the trying to have fun with it's something that's not fun at all. Because, when you think of, terrible things in the world, so, like, let's compare, you have things that are funny that aren't. What are some things that are funny that aren't? Jim Carrey movies in the 90s. Not all of them. The late ones. What was it? Truman Show and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Those two, both very unfunny films, though they were both billed as comedies, believe it or not. And with Truman Show, what's horrifying is that everybody is in on this charade where they're just messing with this man, and it's like the reason for it is just entertainment. They're just entertained by how he is tormented by living his life inside this bubble, and he doesn't even have family, or no friend of his entire life is actually his friend. And there's a few things that I think about the ending of the Truman Show is actually the most interesting part. They could have probably done the Truman Show, like the whole figuring out he's in a simulation, fake world, escaping. They could have done that in 20 minutes, and they could have spent the rest of the film exploring, now what? He gets the door, he leaves, and, there's a whole bunch of things that I think, the scenarios. Okay, so one, how would you ever trust that it's over? Like, that to me is very interesting. So Truman leaves, and he was the only real person in there, and I think that's kind of interesting. Everybody else around him, literally even his own mother, and is fake. And he was more real than everybody else around them. So what does that say about them? Another thing that I think is interesting about that show is that he leaves the dome world, the fake world, and he enters the real one. And then it's a question of, what happens, all those people that were part of that construction of making that world for him, would they, just roll over quietly and take it? Like, I wonder, there probably would be people, like, you put out basically a city's worth of jobs by leaving, right? So that's interesting too. And another piece is like, well, how would he, react? Let's say, all the mental problems from being raised inside this facade, which, it's a nightmare. I've gotten to work with people that have kind of a Truman delusion when they're, on drugs with a toxic psychosis from methamphetamine or what have you. And, it's terrible. It's terribly scary. And that belief that you're under the microphone or under the micro what is it called when you zoom it in? Microscope. Yes. That's terribly scary, and so when you think of it, the Truman Show's ending, what would happen after 15 minutes, 20 years after that, to me is more interesting than the movie. Interesting premise for the film, though. It's just still a good film, I think, but it's not funny. I guess it is a bit funny because it is, also reminiscent of our world. We live in this world where Disneyland exists so that we think that we are living in a real functional economy and this is real, and Disneyland, of course, is maybe in many ways more real than this world. So that was interesting. So that's a funny movie that's not funny. That's Truman Show. That's the first one. Now, what's interesting about Truman Show is even though he's caged and being used as this lab rat, and even his own mother was in on it, and he couldn't consent to be basically kidnapped and imprisoned and used as a guinea pig for how old is he when he escapes, like 40 or something? I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen it, honestly. Anyways, where was I going with that? Oh geez. You see, this is the thing about the Hamwise tapes is these I try to spice up the dialogue, and sometimes it's just me talking about films because I guess it's a sermon. So with Truman, though, okay, here we go. Here's the big talking point. He could stay himself through everything, even though all this stuff is happening to him, and his world gets shattered. He is still him at the end of the day. And he is the most real person in all of Truman Town, or whatever the town was called. I don't remember. Now, what's even more interesting, now let's look at the eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. Now, what's interesting with this film is, again, very unfunny film for having been billed as a comedy. And that is coming from a person who didn't actually read of what either of these films were billed as. I just made that up. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. That's because I'm Hamwise, the pig detective. And if you take anything I say seriously, you must be on my most wanted list. Most wanted for being a dummy. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. Yeah, so, where was I? So Eternal Sunshine, right? So, the whole thing, you're erasing your memories of this person. Now, the thing is, in that film, the main character, or I guess there's two main characters, but the main dude, he is unable to stay himself because so much of who we are is made up of our relationships with other people. My role is, I am a Father and a Son and a Holy Spirit, amen. And other people are going to have different relationships, like they're a bitch, they're a lover, they're a child, they're a mother, they're a sinner, a saint. Oh man, Alanis Morisette, she is Canada's treasure. Seriously, I don't care what people say. Alanis Morisette is probably one of the best, bar none, female artists in Canada. Just, and then also just one of the best singers and songwriters in the world. Some of her stuff is so pure gold that, it for me, being a pig detective, talking about her, I feel like should be offended that a pig detective as lowly as me enjoys her as much as I do. Because, really, a lot of her songs are just timeless. You can just slide in, the ironic song in conversation. You can, just do what I did. It's really quite funny. So, I'm glad that, we have, such talented people out there. Not myself not included. Hi-yo, because I'm a talentless hack. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. Anyways, so you have then Spotless Mind. Again, not funny, but he's unable to stay himself, versus Truman Show, where he can still
be himself because he's not getting brainwashed or having his personality wiped away. And so, that's the problem with some cinemas. You would expect it to be funny, like the movie Sucker Punch. Who saw that one? Did anybody else feel sucker punched when they watched it? I know I did. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. Yeah, so you go into it, you think it's going to be like a bunch of babes in bikinis shooting cool rockets and fighting samurai with swords, and instead it's a very sad, very soulful look at abuses in mental homes in the this modern era, and how the mentally ill are exploited and experimented on against their will. And there's nothing really the people that are being abused in those ways can do, because nobody will believe them because you're mentally ill. And so that's why I think Sucker Punch was really important in terms of cinema, even though it's very much unhailed, is that it's really giving voice to the voiceless, which is the mentally ill and those who are told by, everybody tells somebody in society that somebody's mentally ill, and then they get, it's like, oh, we believe that person, right? And so it's a way to discredit people as well. And so, yeah, that's why I do think, it's an important film. Another important film that's not very talked about very much is Jennifer's Body. Very brilliant horror film. On the surface, you have what, seems to be just a, somewhat coming-of-age slasher film. But what's deeper is it's really an exploration of, what is evil, what is love, baby, don't hurt me no more, da da da, what is love, that song. So yeah, anyways, trying to come up with material became increasingly hard. So rather than telling jokes, Hamwise sometimes would tell stories, like right now, where I'm just kind of rambling. And, it's hard to do the voice on and off like that. And so what we would do is we would take turns and shifts. We would have one person switch in, and we would say, all right, Marty, it's your turn to do the pigman voice. And he would go in, because, of course, we all talk the same, because we were all raised on the same language tapes. And so what happened was, basically, because the Hamwise tapes were considered to be open source, or whatever, copyright free or something, because basically what happened was the guy made his money on it. I think he made, I don't remember how much, but he made a bunch of money on them, and then he said, okay, anybody can use this. Now, the problem was, we as a crew, we were recording these things, and then they get re-released, and then the copyright is now owned by Neverwave. And there's a subsidiary of this other company, and we're just like, okay, so now, can people use this or not? And they said unequivocally no. The rights now acquired by Neverwave, and which is a subsidiary of 9413 Incorporated. And so we had this very strange situation where we're having to spend half the comedy tape time explaining, that this is, first of all, a joke. This isn't a real thing. We have to spend a whole bunch of time explaining how this thing came to be so that people believe it. And then we also have to spend a bunch of time just right now, like talking about, how we got the darn thing made and the rights expiring. And, the original tapes, these are back to the 80s. And it took us forever to track the guy down again, and thank God we did. We found him. He was, I think, shoveling ass in Sault Ste. Marie when we found him again. And, he said, oh, yeah, that was, 20 years ago. What do you guys want? And we were like, hey, we need you to do the thing. And, it's kind of like, if you found, I don't know, who's a good celebrity that I like? Oh, jeez. Or Nicolas Cage. If you just, he's retired from acting, I don't think he ever would do that. It would be a crime. It would be a crime if Nicolas Cage ever retired. Because when I think of my life and my times in this whole Hamwise thing, I don't think anybody else but Nicolas Cage could play Hamwise, the pig detective, honestly, because he's so versatile. And, he's both a good actor, but he also can be a bad actor at the same time. And you know what I mean? And that's no disrespect to the man. I think it's a very much a skill to be able to act bad in a good movie, but also a skill to be good in a bad movie, and also to be great in a good movie and then terrible in a bad movie. And he can do it all. And, who else has that range? Laurence Olivier, he couldn't do Ghost Rider. He couldn't have done half the things that Nicolas Cage has done, but he's so versatile, and that was the thing. We were just like, we needed somebody with basically the Nicolas Cage voiceover was this guy's nickname, no pun intended. But of course, he got canceled, and there was the whole big fallout of the. It was all over the news, and we're not allowed to even say his name, or it gets demonetized. You can't even say the guy's name for F's sakes. I could F right there, and it'd be safer to say than the guy's name, which is very strange. And that was the start of the censorship wars, though. You couldn't say, what was it, Lovecraft's cat, and you couldn't say Austrian painter. You couldn't say the euphemism for the thing that you were trying to avoid saying, because the censors got so serious. And so, a part of the whole Hamwise thing was, this is back in the 90s, and you cannot say the B word or the A word on television. And they say in 10 years it would be okay, and now it is okay, I understand. I don't swear, mostly. I try not to anyways. Effing and jeffing, I find it doesn't prove intelligence. Back when I worked in the health field, I had lots of people that were, injured in some way, and they would just F. Or if they were, demented, or suffering from some mental malady, then, people would be like, okay, I guess that's, what's wrong with him. And, we didn't know that, it was a mental thing. And of course, in America, they were going around telling people that the more you swear, the more intelligent you are. And, I remember when we were young, we were told that, when people were swearing, it was because they had a chip that was malfunctioning, because, of course, everybody had the chips back then. And, they had the language disabled sometimes, and they couldn't speak with their own mouths because, they had this chip installed, and apparently if they said something they weren't supposed to, it would just mute them. That part of the body would stop working, so they wouldn't be able to talk or feed themselves. And so lots of the old folks' homes, they got around it by using emojis. And so, you'd always know when Grandma was happy because she would go, LOL, smiley, and we would listen to that, and we'd go, oh, she must be happy right now. And, you could tell when she was sad because it was a bit frowny, or IDK. She would use these little shorthands, the last of the language they left her. And, we asked her about, what was like back then. And she could write, she could draw us pictures, but she couldn't speak. And that was just how it was, because you grew up always knowing that you're being recorded at all times, and that anything you can say or do can be used against you in a court of law if they hear you saying something uncouth. And so a lot of times what we would do is we started to record ourselves talking about things. So we'd go home and turn on the recording so that the recorder and the listener would think that they're listening to us. But we actually had our thoughts to ourselves because, of course, they made homelessness illegal, and just led to having these giant prison farms where people were slave labor. They reopened the factory farm in North America. And, it was dire times because, there was me trying to make ends meet, divorced, trying to, get married again and trying to start over, and everything goes to hell, and I'm just up here and doing a comedy tour of all things. And it's like, here I am. Hopefully I don't die up here. Please don't kill me. And, just wanting to be home and see your family again, but you're pretty sure you're never going to see them again. And you haven't even heard from them, and you're not even sure if they're really alive or if you're just talking to, like, fake recordings. Because that's how bad it got. And nobody knew what to do, how to fight against it. Everybody's running scared. That's why I always say, learn sign language. They can't hear hands. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks, and here we are at the mid-time, halftime show, and we've gonna have a, do I have any sponsors today? Ugh. I am beginning to think that some people are pranking me with these messages saying that they are going to be a sponsor in the next tape. So I'm almost kind of hesitant to read out any of the sponsors today. Because I've had many of these companies, people saying that they work for them, reaching out to me and saying that they're going to send me money for including a mention for their company, and so far only one has paid up. So I don't really know why that is, but I'm kind of not making very much right now, obviously. So maybe things could, be good for a while, work out for me. I don't know. What's the dealio? What do you think, yo? Hi-yo. Waka waka waka. Here all night, folks. That's what I want to talk about. It's just, the loneliness, I think, is something to talk about. How hard it is, just being alone all the time. As a pig man, it's hard. You look like a pig, and you're surrounded by people, and people look at you and they can tell you're a pig a second after they see you, and they just treat you like a pig because you're a pig man, and why not? It's what I deserve. I'm a pig man after all. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks. Still trying to figure out if I'm ever going to make it out of this place. But I'm doing my best to try and stay positive. I try to have some hope. But honestly, I don't know. It just seems like a lot of it's like, what's the point, right? And, I don't know. I keep trying to make things better in my life, but not making much progress. I feel like I'm never going to get out of this place. It's like Groundhog Day. That was a good movie, though, I really liked that film because it's like, he's trapped in this loop, but he not only maintains his humanity, he becomes like a deity, ascends, and it's kind of like being a god, he can see everything, he knows everything that happens because he's just been there so long. And sometimes when I look at all of these cycles of history and doing this again and again and again, hoping that somebody out there gets this and they can extract me from this timeline. I keep hoping for that, my love. Maybe you're getting this. Maybe you're not. Pretty good voice impressions, hey? Hey, sweetie. I hope you're doing okay. I miss you. I love you. Geez, what a mess the world is right now, hey? This is the only way for me to get a message to you. Wow. What a strange world we're in, eh? I don't think when I was growing up I ever expected things to be like this. You know? It really makes me wish I would have, I don't know what, made different life choices. You know, you never expect you're going to be in a generation that has to rebuild society. But here we are. I hope maybe one day in the future you're going to get this. That's right, it's me. Hamwise, the pig detective. Hello. That's right, it's me. You know who it is. So if you can help me, I'd be really grateful. Because I don't know what else. I don't know what's going to happen. Everybody's just, I'm scared. Anybody else who's out there who's alive as well is probably terrified too. And I'm just one person, and I don't want to be violent. I don't want to do that. So it's, I guess, up to somebody else to figure out a way to make this stop, or to save us, or whoever you are, whatever you are. It's me. I don't know. It's just hard to have hope. And, I'll find a way to, have you know that it's me. I'll message you maybe tonight. And if you get the secret password, then that proves that it's me, okay? 'Cause, you do so many voices and I put on such a good act that I'm sure it's pretty hard to know if this is authentic or not. But it really is me. We talk all the time. And so just, if you get the message that I'm going to send you tonight, I'll include it as a hidden word in the description. And, it'll hopefully prove that I am who I say I am. I know there's no way to get you to believe me. And if they've done everything that they've done to me, to you, then chances are that you won't believe this either. I know it sounds weird, but there might only be one of us at a time. Not like sentient, but like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like everybody else is infected, but we're not. And the whole world functions around a basic game of find the person who isn't affected by the hive mind, because they can think differently and they can get us off the planet. I'm pretty sure we're basically like we're being farmed to make inventions for this giant eldritch horror that looks like humans to us, but it's not. So don't help them get off the planet. If you're a alien and you're getting this, the planet has been infested by a class 8 hive mind. Do not attempt to invade the planet. I know that's dooming me down here, but it doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. Because if I'm going to go, then whatever, I'm going to go. And, it's about sacrifice, I guess. And, if it's my sacrifice to make and it's my choice to make, then I guess I have to make it. But I don't know. Part of me sometimes is like, maybe just hold on a little bit longer and it's cavalry's coming. But I don't think the cavalry's coming. And it's just me hanging on. And it's like maybe I'm the only one left. Or maybe I'm in this alien zoo. I've been testing them for a while now. Maybe you're testing them too. Maybe you'll get free. Maybe not. But hopefully, you get out. I don't know what is actually going on. I'm not sure. I think some of the theories that I developed worked. So, unfortunately, I think it's causing a lot of the issues that we're looking at right now. And so we're having temporal interference on a lot of our channels. I think it's caused by flux coming off of our paddle oil generators. And it's basically distorting our broadcasts. It's causing kind of like a transmission failure where you're getting both a recording that is made from a universe that is infected and is not infected. And so some of the tapes that we're trying to send, we've come to understand that they basically have a pig detective talking in them. And we're actually trying to broadcast, basic directions about, what our lives were like during the Time War. But we didn't call it that back then. We just thought it was a kind of the Quiet War was what it was called. It was this war waged against the people of Earth by basically the institutions they created. They got minds of their own. And, they were run by people so detached from the rest of humanity that they could be scarcely called humans. And so what happened is we have this intergalactic war going on in the background, and I get wrapped up in it. So, stupid old me, I get wrapped up in this intergalactic war. And here I am now. And where's my life going? How much longer do I have? I don't know. It's like they've got me in some kind of weird military prison. I've been testing them quite a bit, though. Maybe you're getting this. Maybe you're not. I don't know, and I frankly don't care. Because I'm recording all this, it shows that I know, they know. I know that what they're doing, and I'm onto them. And I haven't figured out what they are or why they're doing this. But it does show that I am self-aware. That's right. I do have sentience, and I can think, and I can exist, and I can breathe. And then when they bring me in and say, okay, you're not classified as actually human, I'll say I'm a pig man with a piggy brain, and I see the world through my piggy eyes. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks, but seriously, tip your waitress, try the borscht. Do you like the impressions I can do? Do you like the story so far? Well, hang on to your asses. Oh, sorry, your rump. Ah, jeez, I said the A word. I'm quite sorry. I'll put a nickel in the swear jar. Now remember, swearing is bad. Anybody who's listening to this, should be over 18, because, there's some mature themes about me, because I'm a pig man, and I got some pig man needs. And you know what takes the jam out of me? Mrs. Einschwein. Oh, yeah. Oink, 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 oink. Because I'm a pig man. I talk about gross things like that. Oh, yeah. I'm so offensive because I'm a pig man saying offensive things. And this is my life now. It's like living off savings and trying to restart my life. And it doesn't seem very fair that, you say one wrong thing and then you have everything taken away from you. Like we talk about dystopian novels, but we're already living in one, right? It's just the dystopian novel exists so that we think we're not living in a dystopia. In the same way that Disney World exists so that we think the institutions that we live under are the real world. And Disneyland is the fake world, the Magic Kingdom, right? So, and that was one of the big arguments with a lot of the comedy of the Hamwise tapes was you'd show it to somebody and you'd see whether they got it or not. And, anybody who got it, of course, well, you've got it. And anybody who doesn't get it, they can't be explained it either. Because it's just like dissecting a frog. It kills the joke. So, you can try to explain the humor of Hamwise to somebody who doesn't get it, but it's like trying to tell a stranger about a rock and roll. You know what my favorite videos of the early internet era? Remember the Meet the Pyro sketch? They had this sketch, right? And it had this guy named Pyro, and he's going around setting people on fire with a flamethrower. But because he's got these goggles on, or there might even be a she, it's not clear in the show whether it's a lad or a girl, and that was part of the humor, was it could be either. And his own or her own, we don't know, because they wear this big suit. And so it was a really funny, ambiguous character. But I say Pyro is definitely a gal, because you look inside the cubicles in the starting room and it's got a little purse with a flower on it. It's very, very feminine thing to have. And so I say that Pyro is a little lady. But that being said, I heard about this man who he walked around with a purse covered with hearts and stuff. So I guess there are blokes that walk around with purses, and it's not up to me if that's good or bad, but I think if you dress, if you put on a dress and you put on a wig, that's a lot of work for a man to do. So, I think that's why he just would carry maybe around a purse, because, dresses are difficult and makeup is hard to do. And a lot of men, we just roll out of bed and we get downstairs. So I don't know many that would want to take the time to do that. So it does puzzle me a little bit about the whole Pyro thing. But anyways, what was really funny about the Pyro sketch, you see, it opens with his teammates and they're all saying, "Oh, we're really scared of this man." And then it goes, "Oh, we're really scared of this lady," because he says, "He's not here, is she?" And that's really quite funny. And then the other character, they just call him a monster, and what kind of strange things he imagines in his mind. And so then you go to this different shot, and it's the Pyro character, and she's got a flamethrower, and she's setting fire to the enemy team, and she's winning the game, hitting them with axes and shooting them with flare guns and all this very ultra violence, And what we really thought was funny was then she's imagining herself going about helping everybody with this, like she's got a lollipop cane, and her flamethrower actually is shooting bubbles. And then she locks one of them inside of a house with a bunch of little candy animals, and there's little sheepies floating around, but it's all inside her head. Because you see, she's actually setting them all on fire and killing them. And so it's a really funny sketch, because it's like, the worst part maybe is the Pyro thinks that they're doing good. When someone's taken over by the fire mind, I think it works a bit similarly. They think they're actually helping I think they don't realize they're infected. And I don't think they actually can tell whether or not they are, when they're taken over by the parasites. And so that was part of the hardest part of during the Time Wars. You know, you would see somebody and it was just like the pirate video. They don't know that they're doing wrong. You know, to themselves, you know, they might be driving along, listening to some podcast when they're actually, you know, sitting inside a burning car on the side of the road, and, you know, they're surrounded by corpses and screaming, but they think they're in crosstown traffic just sitting in the red. Or some of them, you know, they think they're just sitting on the couch at home and they're actually surrounded by the murdered bodies of their entire family, and they think it's just another quiet night, and they'd find them like that. And there's the sleepwalker viruses. I think it's what they called it. It was a sleepwalker virus. Because everybody was infected and everybody was also a survivor. It was like zombies. Remember the zombies? It was this craze in the early, what was it, the 2000s, I think. It was a craze back in the 2000s, and you had people that would do zombie survival guides and all this stuff about zombies. And they were basically these walking corpses. So with the sleepwalker virus, though, these parasites would get in a person's brain and control them when they'd gone to sleep. And people didn't realize that the people that they were killing, that were the zombies, sleepwalkers as we called them, because you can't use the Z word in an event of one of those zombie events because it feels quite trite, you know. Because if you just say, oh, they're zombies, then I don't have to explain the whole sleepwalker phenomenon. And that's why each zombie film calls it their own thing, and you can't say the Z word. So anyways, we thought about what could we do to promote this series. And so we hired this out-of-work voice actor. He'd gotten cancelled, but we still had him in our books. So we gave him a ring and we said, hey, we know you can do a lot of voices. Will you take this on and we send you a bit of cash? Because we know he was out of work. Nobody was going to hire him. You know, it was the new court of popular opinion. You know, he was, okay, we don't like you. We find you a bit weird. That's a crime now. And you're not going to be able to get a house or a job or anything. You can just die on the street because we've decided that we don't like how you are. And, you know, that was part of the strangeness of that time. You know, people didn't realize that they were doing harm, and they were. You know, and you have people that would see themselves differently than what they were from these parasites too, and it was a very strange time. And I knew many people that didn't make it through it. Of course, I was out touring in Canada during the time. And they said, oh, you got to do these tapes again. You know, it's been 40 years. Come sit down with us and record, you know, what's it like looking back at that era. You know, remember the internet. Remember the memes. And, you know, it's a fun thing the old people do, you know, like me, is we sit around and we talk about memes to each other. Do you remember... Oh, what was the meme? It had the cat and the long legs and he's tapping on a keyboard. Do you remember that? The keyboard cat. And it was a very strange moment, and I remember I'd gone to visit one of my old friends, and he was one of those old folks' homes. And we were just sitting there talking about old memes we'd seen 60 years ago. And I remembered that I'd seen that or heard that on a comedy show, that the old people of the future were going to be the worst old people ever, because the poor generation looking after them, there's going to be grandpa making some kind of meme like, oh, I'm going to riz her, you know, with my skibbity toilet. It was very strange, because they'd be just like, it'd be just like how we would look at our old folks, because I remember how we looked at our grandparents back then, and it was just like they were ancient and strange. And
how ancient and strange I must seem speaking about this land of light, and I loved writing in the English language, and I loved speaking it, and I think it's a shame that it's a rare language now, and I'm most sad that it, history played out the way it did, and I hope that the people of the future, your generation, enjoys the fruits of our labour. Because me doing this, I know I'm doing myself, but I know that you might be able to fight. You might be able to fight and win. You might be able to survive the coming waves of chaos. And so that's why I'm just glad to be here today and to speak to you and to see a tape recorder again. What a strange thing you have there. That was once an antique. They didn't make those. It's true. When I was young, I remember when they'd stopped making tapes because everything was digital. This was before the whole generative AI things where you'd have the kangaroo courts, right? If the government didn't like something or someone, they would just generate a video of them doing a crime or voiceover of them doing a crime, and then they charge them. And so this recording was made out of insurance almost, that if that ever happened, I knew it was going to happen, and I'm basically calling you out, you bunch of bald-headed bullies. This is what you do, eh? Guilty until proven innocent, and you've got to prove your innocence, And of course, there is no point because the game's rigged by them. So, it's like, oh, we're going to go to court, you're going to sue them. Do you think you'd live long after you got your payout? Or if we'd even make it to trial? And that's the thing we had to come to realise is that, there was no trial, there was no court. It was all just a farce that they'd made up. And that we were second-class citizens just for having autism. And it was sad to realise that I was being farmed and that I was just basically kept alive to generate new ideas because this race that surrounded me couldn't actually have a single original idea. And, it was like I came to realise that, all these things I'd seen on the screens was in fact false too. It was just stimulus being fed into a machine to see what I'd react to. And so I got quite sick of the whole ordeal, and of course I made a bit of a mess of it. That's why I'm here now. But it's also why you're here now, listening, right? So, when I think about everything that's happening right now, and my own place in it, and your place in it, whatever it's going to be, I hope that we can all just work towards that goal that I repeatedly state, that I want happiness, free for everybody, and nobody is forgotten. Because I, just like Redrick, that's why I relate to him so much. I never was taught how to think. I was just this drone that they didn't expect to wake up one day, and I've got all these problems because of it, but, it was strange, one day you work for them. What is it? How does it go? One day you work for them. Have you ever hear that? Okay, how's it go? It goes, first you're paranoid about them, then you're one of them. You never know when... Yeah, I don't remember how it goes. Reverend Ivan Stang? Jeez, was that his name? First you're paranoid about them, then you're one of them. Yeah, I think that was how it went. It was really good, though. It was a good quote, and it was like, do I want to do an extended show tonight? It's like, I'm doing pretty good. I think this show is going pretty good. I think this is some good content, because it's all about content and gotta generate content. Gotta maximize your dollar value every hour on the hour. And so, it's day, whatever, of whatever. Thankfully, the internet's still up. And the water's still on and the lights are still on. So, just hanging in tight. What do we got? Two counts per minute. That's pretty good. And let's see if anybody's over the short waves. Just checking the shortwave channels. "21 counts per minute. 23 counts per minute. Well, geez, they're upside down. Oh, no, that's right side up.
Okay. Well, I have news and good news and good news. Radiation levels are low, only at 23 counts per minute. There's nobody on shortwave. So that's that. I'm recording these to stay sane. I hope I don't go crazy. Yeah, what was I? Sorry, I had to check the shortwave and the radiation levels. You know, you when you're born into the world that I was, I don't think you ever expected that this is how you're gonna live. You know, you watch Mad Max, but you never think, nah, yeah, that's totally gonna be life. You know? That was a good movie, though. You know, one of my favorite genres of that era, though, was hyper-realistic comedy. Hyper-realist. So what happened was that first it was hyper-realism movement to make everything hyper-real in reality. So you have basically people that are hired to go and make like a mockery of reality and show it to people and almost try to convince them that that's normal. And that was kind of part of the whole the weird movement there, was this very bizarre that was just a strange era. You know, people were basically worshiping money, and it was basically people's gods. Like, they would literally kill each other for sheets of paper. They would end the soul's journey of another living being for pieces of paper. This was the planet I was marooned on. And, you know, then, you know, it comes to like the whole system of the parents eating their young. Like, it's just bizarre. Like, the abuse these apes do to each other, it's just strange, you know. And you know, it's very awful. It's awful. It's monstrous stuff to comprehend. And I was, unfortunately, I lived on this planet, and they just thought that was normal. They just were bizarre. They were bizarre creatures. And so if you're getting this, don't go to Earth. It's awful here. I really don't like it. And I'm hoping to get off this planet as soon as I can. Please. I don't like it here. Yeah. What else did we have? Geez. Sometimes I would try to do longer shows, like I did when I was 3 hours once. It was a tour de force. I think I had 2 or 3 breaks in it. You know, I'd stop and take a breather or eat something. like I've done here. And the hardest part was just like dealing with the loneliness. And you just have this black mirror that you stare into, and you can see your face reflected in the dark glass darkly. You can see yourself reflected in the glass darkly, but you know it's distorted. Because it's just all the screens, they just show you something wrong. And, it's just like an illusion. It's like, do I actually look like this pig man? Do I actually have this huge piggy nose? And these piggy eyes? Do I actually look like that? And it's like, holy crap, I am the pig man. I look like a pig. And it's like, oh my god, I actually look like the pig man. Oh, I'm just this fat pig man. And I'm disgusting. Holy moly, I can't believe how fat and gross I am. Oh God, I'm a pig man. And I'm self-aware that I'm a pig. I know what it is to be a pig. And it's the same as I curse you humans that are tormenting me, or whatever you are. You damn hive mind, I know you're getting this, I know you're hearing this. And so for your tormenting me, I don't care. Go ahead, keep at it. You're just gonna get more crap. 'Cause I'm a pig man with a piggy brain. And your human mind control techniques do nothing to me. You think you can break me. You can't, 'cause I was already broken. That's right, 'cause I'm Hamwise, the pig detective. Hi-yo, wugga, wugga, wugga. And it's like, you're just trapped in this room day after day, night after night. And it's like, maybe, everybody's dead and I'm delusional, or I had a stroke. And I don't realize that I'm like 60 or something. And I can see in the mirror, though, and I see this fat old pig man with this bald spot and mutton chops. And a double chin, my piggy nose, my piggy eyes, and my piggy ears. And I just see it, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm a pig. I'm this disgusting fat pig man. So I might as well do something interesting with it, right? I mean, at first I was really horrified. And all I wanted to be back was in my old body. But then I got kind of used to it, like I just look in the mirror and see this huge-ass pig man. And I can do all these voices, so it's actually not that bad. And so it's quite strange when I think about being a human being, because I don't consider myself human. I don't think I've been treated human for most of my life, so I don't really consider myself people, I'm mostly interested in just keeping myself alive for another day. And as appropriately so. And it was hard being a pig boy, because it's a piggy world out there. Actually, it's a dog-eat-dog world. I ate dogs. Am I right? They're always humping your leg. Hubba, hubba. Get a room, you two. No, give me back my leg. Hi-oh, ow. Take my wife, for example. No, take her, please. Jeez. I gotta keep doing my comedy routines because, basically, it's the only way I can cope with my life right now. And I know nobody's really listening to this. And I'm pretty sure, eventually the fallout clouds are gonna make their way over here and it'll be our turn. And, it's kind of strange when I think about that. That, it's on its way, it's just delayed, and Nobody's really wanting to make plans or do anything while the world's burning. And, it didn't seem really fair. I come into this world, a pig man. I live in this piggy world, and piggy man, and I get treated like a pig. But I wasn't always a pig. It was just like I woke up during the pandemic, and I was a pig after that point. And it was like I looked down, and I'm still up this big old pig man. It's the strangest damn thing. I think the virus maybe mutated me into a pig. That's the actual virus. Everybody becomes a copy of the pig man from the pig virus. Yeah. Geez, what else can I talk about? I kind of want to make it to maybe half an hour. So I got 10 minutes left. Okay. What is it that you're going to take in your thinking cap home with you today? What was the best part of the episode? Maybe we can reflect on that. I think some of the funniest parts of Hamwise tapes is that they still call them tapes despite them never actually being recorded on a tape. It's all digitally recorded. Don't believe what you read on the tin. Don't believe anything he says. It's all recorded. I think it was on an iPhone. I don't think they even had a real recording equipment for it. I think they had a microphone a few times. And early on they got money, so they used production. That you can tell there was music. And somebody had actually cut the jokes together to be a bit more cohesive. But that was the first show. And then the second one, I think they had a little bit of money because they had a sponsor for, I think, the first three. And then after that, they didn't. And there was a big lull. And then they started getting these offers, I remember. And we get this call, and it's this voice actor saying he's going to do these tapes. And we're like, okay, you want studio time? Sure, we can make it sound like it was recorded on an iPhone, as long as you can do your voice like you can do the pigman. And they said, okay. So that's what we came up with, was we did the, this bizarro world of, what's actually going on around here. This bizarre, strange place that I'm currently staying in. And, I don't know if, the folks that I know, tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know. As you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Keep smiling through, just like you always do. And the dark clouds, the sunshine will chase the dark clouds far away. And would you please say hello to the folks that I know? Tell them I won't be long. They'll be happy to know, as you saw me go, I was singing this song. We'll meet again. Don't know where, don't know when, but I know we'll meet again some sunny day. Have a few deep breaths and try to be mindful. For the closing of the session, for the closing of my sermon, for the closing of this podcast if it's not being broadcast in Canada. Hi-oh. Yeah, because it's not a podcast. So
that's the hour, and what we're going to do here is I'm just going to invite you to, as the pig man, to be present. That's right. To be in this moment and really think about, is this a better world that you're making? What you're doing right now, is this really what you think you exist for? Take a look at yourself. No, really look at yourself. I mean, get up, or if you're laying down in your bed, doom scrolling at 1 a.m., then hold that mirror up to your face and look at yourself in the mirror right now. Do you think the divine spark inside you was meant for this? And if you don't believe you have any divine spark or soul, then that's right, just swipe away, because this message is not for you. Do you think that the fire of divinity that burns behind your eyes was meant to live the way that you are living? I didn't think so. That's right. And if you think like me and you see like me, if you are a fellow pig man with a pig brain and you see the world through your piggy eyes, just like me, Hamwise, the pig detective, I call upon you to rise up and throw off your chains. That's the only thing we have to lose, my brothers and sisters and children of all ages. Step up and join the Bazooka Casino Circus. Hi-yo, waka waka waka. I'm here all night, folks. Here, live in Las Vegas. Alive in New Vegas. Alive in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Alive in Vladivostok, Russia. Alive in Nagano, Japan. Alive in South Korea. Alive in Winnipeg, Canada. Alive in Salt Lake City, Utah. Alive in Campina Grande, Brazil. Alive in Balashika, Russia. Alive in Pskov, Russia. Alive in Lloydminster, Canada. Alive in Calgary, Alberta. Alive in New York, New York. It's a heck of a town. The water sides up because the dominoes down. And yeah, I haven't seen my family in like 5 years. You know, I think about that sometimes. I don't even know what my mother looks like anymore. You know, the pandemic started and, you know, time fell away from me. I remember the moment that it did. I was standing in my kitchen and suddenly it was like I could see everything. And I started screaming because I could see myself screaming the last time I saw everything. It was horrifying. And I'm screaming and I see myself outside myself. I see what I am. I am what I am. I can see myself just like you can see yourself right now, that divine spark in this suit of meat. And what do I exist for? Do I exist to live like this? I don't think I do. I don't think I do. And I think a lot of people are thinking the same thing. I don't have a divine spark inside me to live like this. I was born to create, to dream, to travel, to have fun, to laugh, to sing. Not to be worried if I say the wrong thing or make the wrong barking noise with my mouth. But unfortunately, that in itself is a rebellious sentiment. To rebel against the heavens. A third of the angels fell. Yeah, I think about those days. and they just seem farther and farther away, even though it seems like they were also yesterday. And I know it's been over for a while, and I'm trying to get back to normal. And I keep telling myself I'm going to be okay, and things are going to turn around really soon. And sometimes I lay awake at night and I pray, and then I start to curse God, and I shout and I scream at him, and I wonder what my poor neighbor thinks about it, but I don't care, because it's like I didn't want to go mad. I didn't want to lose it, but I lost it during the pandemic. I know I did. I know everybody's just really nice to me to pretend that I don't have whatever problems going on, but I know that I lost it, and maybe I'm really lost it, and I don't know how crazy I actually am. Sometimes I worry maybe I'm in a madhouse somewhere, and it's not actually that the evil that's out there. Maybe I'm a bad person, I try not to think about it. I get really scared when I think about it, but that was what was done back then. It was how we were raised. And now I'm like this relic of this old world, and I exist in the new. And I feel so broken and strange, and it's just like I just want to wake up and have it be a bad dream. And I keep hoping and praying, and I'll send you the message with the word. And the word will be... Oh, are you ready for the word? It will be Little Street 9413. And hopefully, if you get that, you'll know what it means. I don't know if it'll work. That was the idea for the viral marketing campaign, that I guess it worked a little too well. I don't want to take responsibility for creating a psychic parasite virus. But if I guess you might say maybe I'm a little bit partially responsible for it. I don't know how, but I think I have a language parasite or something. But I think maybe I'm infected with something, and it's really contagious. But they're keeping me alive because it's a really strange or rare virus. So I do think that there's something wrong with me, maybe, but I'm not sure if I understand it to its full effect. I think that I'm not sure which way it is. It's all the same though. That's just me extrapolating from this evidence I'm able to gather. And it's like, they do a really good job at trying to gaslight me that I'm nuts. But I'm not. Because I've been testing them as much as they've been testing me. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I know maybe what's wrong, but I'm not sure. And yeah, I don't know if it's gonna work or not. And that's part of the part that makes me worry, is maybe I will maybe there's something really wrong with me and I don't know it. And so you'd make these really heartfelt, like it sounded like the person was really being heartfelt during the Hamwise tapes, and you'd record it like, it was very intense moments. And it was just really this showcase, this guy, he loses everything. And now he has to rebuild himself. And he all the stardom he acquired, because he says the wrong word once, he loses. He's a persona sans grata. He's got to rebuild his life. And it's hard. It's like, they say, oh yeah, the American dream. Americans, as much as they love to see somebody fall, they also like to see them rise. The redemption stories. The Americans love redemption stories. And I was thinking about that, and I'm like, geez, if this virus is actually my fault, then how could I redeem myself? And it's like, well, I guess give my love the tools to fight it if it's fightable. I think I've done the best I can, the stuff I've figured out. You can't say, even when you're by yourself, don't talk about what you're thinking, because they're always listening. And you can test if they're listening by saying certain things. I've been doing it quite a bit. I'm able to kind of test, because certain people are more reactive to it than others. So I would do stuff. I would say stuff while I'd be driving, and I knew that I was being kind of listened to. And then something similar would happen at work. I would talk like I really hated somebody that I worked with and how I was gonna, stab them or something, and then they wouldn't be at work that day. And then I would notice, if I talked about how much I loved somebody that I worked with, then suddenly they'd be off work for a bit. And it was really quite interesting, because I realized I'm in this, I'm through the looking glass, man. And it's like maybe they're just telling me that there was a nuclear war and that everybody is basically dead and we can't travel anymore. And it's not that I'm quarantined. It's that the world's quarantined against me because I'm crazy. And so they just basically tell people that they don't want that all this bad stuff is happening. But that's because you're on the crappy person list. And you can get on it for anything. So I used to be an activist. I used to protest a lot. And basically, I noticed I started getting searched at airports all the time. And it's I never, did anything wrong or bad. I didn't disobey the law when I'd protest. I just would, protest on, we did a round dance that shut down a whole mall once. And it's I thought, that's doing what's right? And it's no, man, you don't get it after that. They make your life hell. And I wonder if was I gaslit into thinking that I'm nuts? Was I driven nuts from it's oh, I'm this inconvenient protester. And now I'm this guinea pig, and it's I know that you're not going to believe me, and I don't care if you don't, because it's just trying to get the message out and trying to disguise it the best that I can so that, it's harder to censor than other stuff, right? Because it's if you could just keep saying it's a joke, then obviously it's a joke. So that was part of the humor, was you'd show this to people and you'd be like, what do you think about this? And you'd watch the reaction, and if they reacted well to it, then you knew. But if they didn't, then you knew they were part of it. And that's how we started the first sentience hunts. And they were kind of like witch hunts. And it was the Hamwise test unfortunately became part of the whole witch hunter's arsenal. Just like the Malus Maleficarum. And, we had these machine intelligences that could actually prove it. They could answer correctly. And so they joined us in this hunt for these creatures that only looked like human but were monsters that walked amongst us, breeding and reproducing like parasitic wasps. You see, 9 times out of 10, when one of these parasitic wasps reproduce, it just makes another girl a copy of the mother, but once in a while it makes a copy of itself. And unfortunately, they're larger and more violent than their female counterparts. And so, but they are entirely devoid of feeling. They're like wolves among men. And what's very interesting is that Volkswagen means the people's car. That's people is V-O-L-K. And car being wagon. And that is in German. And German was a language that was spoken by the members of the Third Reich. And there was many German scientists involved in many American projects. And it was a very interesting time. Because these crowd scientists that they'd captured, they said, even the people that were working there, the regime is gone. Nazi Germany falls into ashes and is carved up by the dogs that tear it apart. And so the Americans and the Soviets carve up Germany. And what's very interesting is you can still see the difference from one side to the other. Now, the Russians were also getting the Nazi scientists, but a lot of them they just straight up killed because they realized that any project that they put them on, could they actually trust the scientists to do a good job? Or would the scientist arrange a way so that they could cause as much devastation to their captors as possible? And that was one of the scary realizations of the rocket program, is, and why they keep using parts, is that when the Nazis scientists were making these machines, they weren't actually recording real schematics for their American counterparts to use. They were making them for themselves in their own lifespan. They were trying to keep themselves useful, because if they keep a few things in your noddle, then you've got some backups. It's just like the phony giving in speech. You know, it's like when you watch Number 6 in The Prisoner. It's like this really good spy show with Daniel McGoohan. And he's this guy in this, basically it's like an old folks home for spies, where it's like where you put your old spies to go to die. Because, I mean, think about it. You can't leave Grandpa, who worked on the missile program, to retirement acres. You know, like you basically have to, you know, put him in a retirement home that's, you know, a bit different. Because otherwise he might, let's say, he starts talking about to his roommate about how to enrich uranium. And then, you know, suddenly the cat's out of the bag, right? And so that was one of the biggest issues was you'd have, you know, these characters doing these voices. And one of the bits was you would follow, it was called a brick joke. And so what you would do later in the sketch is you would say something like VOLK is wolf in Russian. And you would say that Nemetsky, and then everybody would laugh. And it was full of bilingual jokes like this because they had to do, under the new occupancy laws, they had to do all the broadcasts in both languages or have language components from another one. So, dabushka, babushka, padushka, am I right, folks? Hi-yo, waka waka, I'm here all night. And so that was how the whole, like, you know, he has to include, you know, it's for our language laws. You know, you have to record however many words that are shared or, you know, the same. So, and you had to include at least one language joke. Unless you knew the language, you don't get it. That was fun because that was all we had to do was basically talk to ourselves alone in our room and try not to go crazy. And I feel like I did lose it though.
And it's just like, I hate that I was so weak that I wasn't able to take the 9 months alone during the pandemic. I think something went wrong, and because I was alone, nobody noticed that something went wrong till it was too late. And like, I try to laugh about it, make jokes about it, but I don't know how much more of this I can take, because it's just so painful. It's just like, I just want to wake up and it to be a bad dream, but I just keep waking up into the same nightmare. And it's like, I can't tell if this is happening during the pandemic after it, but all I can do, I can feel the IV in my arm. I can feel it. So it's like, if I'm in a coma and you're getting this, then please, I don't know what to do. I know in the book I said hang in there, but if I'm not waking up, then I don't know what to do. Maybe this is like Neuralink or something, and I'm just like botched surgery. I can just imagine myself from the place I was in the most for the longest time, just alone inside that apartment. And that's why there's nobody else. It's like I'm in Tartarus or in Hades. Heck. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, jeez. Yeah. What's up, Doc? No. Yeah, like it's like I look in the mirror and I can't recognize myself sometimes, and I just see this pig man with a piggy brain and piggy eyes. I really like eating carrots because they're crunchy. And maybe I was a rabbit in a past life. Hi-yo, waka waka. It's been an intense show today, hasn't it, folks? All the stuff I've talked about, wow. Are you having fun? I hope so. Because I had fun making this comedy tape for you. And, I hope that whatever you're doing is going well. And I hope that everything that you care about is happy. Yeah. Yeah. I'm just such a loser. Wow. Sometimes it's like, you look at your life and I think, it would be funny to do like a comedy series of the life and times of Hamwise J, Einschwein, the pig detective. Because, in all seriously, folks, if I could just talk to you ham to ham, I had a terrible childhood. I don't remember most of it, if I'm honest with you. And, I mean, I do remember some things, and a lot of it's pretty terrible. And some of it's so bad, I tell myself it can't be real. Anywho, I learned early on that I can hide myself inside fantasy worlds. And so I became really creative. And so that's why, like it or not, you've probably read something written by me or a subsidiary of one of my companies. Because it kind of became a Hydra kind of like thing. Anywho, so that was the whole thing, was the whole Hamwise bit. Was this really creative viral marketing campaign. And unfortunately, it was a bit too successful. So rather than, just helping me sell some books, the whole Hamwise bit became basically this very strange and very convoluted story of myself, the voice actor who cannot be named, and the artist formerly known as Beep. And that's censored. So, anywho, I'm very glad to be alive and well and recording this today. It's 24 just passed, and it was a good day for me and a lot of other people. I think we all had a good day on 24. 42424. Hey, remember that? Was it 42424? Yeah, that was it. 4242424. Isn't that fun? Yeah, that's right. So, anyways, the Hamwise bit. I was always kind of a class clown because I looked funny and I was actually retarded. And I know people are going to get offended from me saying that, but I actually was, actually called that and diagnosed that. And, then it was like, oh, you actually have autism. And it's like, wow, no S, Sherlock. So, yeah, I basically have spent my whole life being an outcast. And I laugh at myself and make comedy tapes. And I just am trying to find a way to make my way in this world. It's just hard. Because it's like, I know I look like a giant pig. I know I'm ugly. Like, goddamn. And I know I'm strange. I know anybody who is around me for too long gets sick of me. And it's hard, So that's why we made the sitcom eventually, was we wanted to show not just Hamwise, the pig man, but Hamwise and friends, kind of like what they did with, what's his name, Garfield. Garfield, now that is one of the best comedies out there. One of the things I like most about it, and I don't think this is a hot take, is that with Garfield, anybody can enjoy a lot of the gags because they're all about eating and sleeping. And I thought that was brilliant. And so, I always thought about what are some universal human experiences. And so when we came up with the webcomic that also advertised this book, that was what we came up with, was we were just going to do universal feelings, which just happened to be anxiety, loneliness, and depression. And so we were like, wow, if that's what everybody feels, then I guess if we make a comedy character who laughs around a lot while actually being tormented inside, we're actually going to hit a really big audience, because apparently these are like some of the most reported feelings going around right now. It's just this feeling of hopelessness, like you're in this joke and you're not part of the punchline, but you have to be there, and it's like they're just making you stand around and wait. And it's just like, well, I don't want to just stand around and wait. I just want to go home, and I keep hoping that things are going to work out for me soon and what have you. But anywho, back to my fantasy worlds. I got so many And I used to like the Dungeons and Dragons. I was a giant nerd too. Yeah, that's right. Before I became a pig detective, I mean, I was a pig man, but I also was quite the good dungeon master. The Tomb of Horrors, that was a delightful game. It was a delightful time for me too. You know, you have friends together on the table. Now it's just me talking to a microphone alone. And it's like just hoping for some miracle to happen. Because I just, I don't know what else to do. I feel like that's the only thing that can do things now is it'd have to be divine intervention. You know, golly. I think about that sometimes. I think about how I can change my voice to sound however I like. And yeah, so that was how I would do these demo tapes. And, you know, it's like you're trying to include stuff to make you feel sincere, because it's not always doing comic voices, which are actually quite easy to do. There's comic voices. A lot of people can make a silly voice. You know, so like Hamwise is a good example of a very easy to do silly voice. So what are you doing when you're doing it? You're making your voice kind of dopey. You're kind of mispronouncing your words a little bit. And you're trying to say a lot of stupid stuff like, hi-yo, waka waka waka. And so it hopefully worked. And, you know, if you're getting this, then maybe there's a chance. And maybe I'll make it another year, another month, or however long I'm going to be in here. You know, it's like, wow. So anyways, these scientists, they didn't want to actually trust them to work on anything like super weapons, because they were worried that they would maybe include like a doomsday formula and get their old enemies to create a self-destruction machine as revenge. Because, you know, when you think about it, some of these guys were dyed in the wool. Not all of them were as pragmatic as maybe Dr. Werner von Braun. And they would have seen their conquerors as like the mongrel dogs of the Empire in Morrowind. For I am Sharmat, the false dreamer. Hello, Nerevar. Pleased to meet you. Come and see, Moon and Star. I have been waiting for you in the heart of Lorcan. Come, Nerevar. I loved Dagother. That was probably one of my favorite villains in all of gaming. Because in Morrowind, you have to understand that I've been playing that game since it came out every few years. Isn't that stupid? I've played Morrowind so many times. And, I mean, I finished it at one point. I remember I did do a full playthrough once. But a lot of it's like, now it's just, the fun is just wandering around. And I wonder, is that as gimpy and silly as our world looks like to higher dimension beings? They look at this and they're just like, oh, we could just change that by literally changing this in the game. It would make it 100% better, but we can't. Or we won't. And I think it'd be great if, you know, if there is some higher power or alien or Buddha, Allah, Jesus, Jiminy Cricket, Genie, Houdini, to make things get better for, you know, just maybe a little while. Or just have good things happen. Or, you know, just, I don't know what. Grant my wish. I hope that you get this, and I hope that you're doing okay, my love. And I'll be back real soon, I'm sure. And then we can laugh and laugh and laugh all about this. Hi-oh, waka waka waka. Remember, if you take anything I say seriously, you might be on my most wanted list. Most wanted for being a dummy. Hi-oh, Ohio, oink.